What is up, my snow friends? This is the Snow Bard, and welcome back to another locals report for the One Piece trading card game in Outpost Brussels. Today is the 22nd of February 2026, and I'm just going to jump right into that. So I'm doing two locals this time. I'm covering the Wednesday locals for the first time. And for the 18th of February 2026, this is considered the last official OP14 locals for Outpost before the release of EBO3. And there were 19 players during that locals. I didn't play that day, with 12 unique leaders, with Ace being the most represented with 4. And Purple Doflamingo following suit with 3, and Blue Yellow Boa and Yellow Luffy with 2 decks each. Ace proved to be a dominant leader for this specific locals, with one of them being the actual winner of locals, followed by Emu at second place. And a blue-red ace and a green Mihawk rounding out the top 4, with another blue-red ace, another blue-yellow boa, a purple Doflamingo, and a black crocodile rounding out the top 8. So 3 of the 4 aces that were represented in this locals actually made it into the top 8, which is, well, it's no surprise that if you're a good ace player and if you know how to tech, I think, around these potential decks, you're gonna do some really good results. So we're just gonna jump into the top 2 deck lists for this specific locals, and we'll start with the second place, which is Emu. So just to do a recap, we have Emu 4 life, 5,000 power. They cannot have events of 2 or more in the deck, and they can play up to 1 Mary Joas type stage from the deck before they actually get to draw in Mulligan. Activate main once per turn. You may trash a Celestial Dragons type character from your field or 1 card from your hand to draw a card. So this is typical Emu, typical standard list. The only change I think I see from the topping Emu list, I think for previous locals, is there is 1 less ground death for 1 more losing my edge. I think this would help a little more with Shirahoshi, Miosgard, or Shalria, but otherwise this is a standard Emu list. You're just gonna see ground death. You're just gonna see 4 copies of the Elders plus the super rare, so not really too surprising there. And we'll go to the ace that actually won locals on Wednesday. So just to recap, Ace is a 3 life, 6,000 power leader. On your opponent's attack once per turn, you may trash a card from your hand. Give up to 1 of your opponent's leader or characters minus 2,000 power for this specific battle. And if he has a Dawn attached to it once per turn, whenever he takes a life or a character with 6,000 base power or more is KO, draw a card. What I find surprising with this list is the fact that there's only 2 copies of Uta instead of the usual 4. I usually see 4 copies of Uta on this list, but it is replaced with Aesop and Luffy from the Goa Kingdom, where activate main, you can trash this character and give 1 active Dawn card to your leader and 1 of your characters. Give up to 1 of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. I don't play a lot of Ace, so I'm assuming this is just for power reduction, especially if you're playing those, I would say, if you're playing specifically in odd dawn turns where you can play I am Whitebeard into Whitebeard into Aesop and Luffy. I don't know. That doesn't actually work because you need to give an active dawn. So this is something that I see, I think I've heard of a lot of these Aesop and Luffy's being played a lot more, which is it's a good tech piece, I would say. Can't really say for which one. That's something that I'll have to do more research on. But this one is for. Oh well, there's also that's also another thing that actually surprised me. It's a Thatch. It's a 2k counter. One costs 2,000 power. On play, if your leader has the Whitebeard pirates including in its types, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for this turn. Then put the top card of your life into your hand. I'm assuming this would be for something like Roger. If you want to trigger Roger a bit earlier, you play that, you protect your life, and then you play Roger and make sure they cannot block. I'm assuming that's what it's for. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Roundtable is pretty good for reducing blockers or something like that. 3 red rocks is pretty standard, although I'm not sure how Ace is going to kind of like tech for once Red Rock rotates out in April. And with the upcoming ban list, I'm not even sure what will get hit for Ace, but that's something that people will actually see. But other than that, it's a typical standard Ace list where your actual curve is Izo into Marco, into Yamato, into Orjozu, into 8-cost Whitebeard, into Newgate, and just defend your life from there. That's how I see it though. And yeah, that's actually for locals on Wednesday. Well, now we're actually going to discuss the locals for today and the 22nd of February 2026. And this is we consider this the first official I would say tournament or locals where EB03 is legally available for us. And this is a bit of a weird one considering not everyone has had like all their playsets and everything, so we're just discovering how the decks work for the first time. But the good thing about this is that there's 28 players today. It's the biggest one I've covered so far with 18 unique leaders. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I'm just gonna move my camera over here, considering, yeah. So let's go over what we actually have here for today. So as I said, 18 unique leaders, which I think is the most that I've also covered, with 4 of them being boas. Well, 4 of the 28 being boas, followed by 3 Doflamingo decks, 2 Ace decks, 2 Emu decks, 2 Bonnies, 2 Mihawks, and, well, there's 2 green Bonnies and 2 yellow Bonnies. So that's, you see, well, how many, now that I think about it, how many green decks are available today? There's 6 of the 28. How many blue decks? 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 blue decks. There's surprisingly 4 yellow decks, if I count this correctly. Oh no, 4, 5, 9. There's 9. 9 yellow decks as well, if you consider like two colors. I played Jinbei today. Didn't really have like the best time, but surprisingly, we have an interesting top 8 this time, with Black Crocodile by Hokhori actually doing the whole thing. And I'll actually explain how the deck works later. So first of all, congratulations to Hokhori for actually doing this, like making it to the like 5 rounds. That's oh man, this is like how I felt with the Shirahoshi from last week. So we're just gonna look into that after. Then we have Ramtin with his Emu deck. Props to Ramtin for doing another top 2. We have a Teach. We have a Blackbeard in the top 4. I'll also look into that later. Like you're gonna see, this is actually very, very exciting. And then we have Gantzer's Red Purple Roger rounding out the top 4. He was actually in the finals. Like he was like in table 1 for the final round, facing off against Black Crocodile. I think he should be second, but anyway, that's how the top 4. That's the top 4 that I saw on my list. And then we have, rounding out the top 8, we have both Mihawks who participated in the tournament. a red-blue ace, and a blue-yellow boa. So, now that we've seen the shenanigans that we can actually do in our locals, I'm just going to jump right in to Roger. Just as a recap, he is a 7,000 power, 5 life, red purple leader. If he has any Dawn cards on the field, he has to give it to his leader at the start of the turn. And if he has, give 1 Dawn card that would be added to during your Dawn phase to your leader. I'm gonna apologize. I didn't have the wording right. So if I meant that, it's that if he were to receive a Dawn at the start of his turn, one of them is going directly to Roger. So it's, I would say, I think the 2 every turn. I think that's what I was thinking. And if he has 9,000 or less Dawn card, 9 or less Dawn cards on his field, he loses 2,000 power. So he's a 5 gun in early turns, and all you have to do is just ramp. You ramp with Buggy, you ramp with Douglas Bullet, you ramp with Bon Curé, you ramp with Gabon, and then eventually playing into Roger. This is the exact list that Gantzer has been playing for the past month. And it is amazing. You should try this list. So we're just gonna go through it quickly. There's 2 Uda blockers. There's 2 Lime Juice that stops blockers. There's 4 Shanks that are rush and gives minus 1,000 power to all characters, all your opponent's characters. A Shanks that KOs 10k power or less. The Roger that cannot be blocked. Shanks Searcher, Usohachi, Silver's Rayleigh that has rush and can, if Roger has a given Dawn, he can rest a 5 cost and then add a Dawn as active. There's the counter that also ramps. There's Divine Departure that if he rests 5 Dawn cards, he can give an opponent's character minus 8,000 power. And then there's the Roger that gives plus 2k if he has 10 Dawn. And it's pretty easy to ramp into Roger. So, wow, the consistency of this deck, like, for the past month has just been amazing. And with the jungle meta as it is, like, I don't think people will cover Roger a lot. And so this worked out to Gantzer's advantage because there's like nothing, like he doesn't really have to worry about it. He just has to high roll, and everyone else has to worry about Roger. So congratulations again to Gantzer for doing our beautiful, beautiful Roger. Wow, for 1 month. Can you imagine being this consistent for 1 month? It's crazy. And we're now gonna see one of the surprise toppers for this locals. It's Teach. If you haven't heard of Teach, or it's been a while since you played him, he's 5 life. As for monocolor leaders, 5,000 power. He doesn't have on-play effects. Like, if he were to play on-play effects, it wouldn't work. And then, if he trashes a card from his hand until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent's on-play abilities don't activate. This was the menace of OP9. And I remember playing this deck. It is not easy. It is not easy to play this deck. It's vile. Especially if I play Jinbei. Like, I basically can't draw anymore. And then he's just going to KO my stuff and then have enough board to basically kill me. So, there are 2 types of Teach decks. One that plays specifically to play around one specific card, which is Burgess. 4 cost 5,000 power, 1k counter. Cannot be killed by your opponent's effects. And if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gets 1,000 power for every 4 cards in trash. You are trashing a lot of cards with Teach. So the whole deck is based around Burgess. So usually both decks either have to play Burgess. It's like the best card in your deck. And there are 2 ways to do it. Either you go for the KO package, where you play cards like Van Augur, Tempest Kick to reduce cost, and then using Doc Q to KO. Or there's the version where you play around Burgess and you just play a lot of blockers such as Kuzan. Caribou, you play Kuzan. You can play cards like Katarina Devon, I think, is one of those examples. So if you were to check like other lists, you can play Shiryu. You can play Devon that can also give blocker. You can put more Kuzan. That is a 6 cost, 6k blocker that on KO you get to play something for 5 or less from the trash. So you can play Kuzan or Burgess or everything like that. So this version is specifically for KO because he play cards like Teach that can KO a 3 or less. Shiryu is a blocker that can KO a base cost of 4 or less. Totally fine. The most important thing for this deck specifically is to be the control deck. You just have to KO a lot of things. Sorry about that. You have to KO a lot of things, like specifically through Van Augur into Docuse, you can KO a 4. If you play Tempest as well, you can KO a 7. Or if you do Van Augur, Tempest kicked into Liberation, you can KO an unkillable character or something that costs 4 or less. The most important thing, specifically, is that in the early turns, you have to search. You can play cards like Fulaled or Hachinosu in Japanese. So it's a stage that costs 1, and activate main, you can trash a card from your hand and rest the stage to search for a Blackbeard Pirates card and add it to your hand and place the rest at the bottom. So you look at the top 3. Lafitte does the same thing for the top 5 and puts it on the bottom. And then the event, This Is My Age, does the same thing as Hachinosu, but puts everything in the trash. So I know this deck list, kind of. So I've played this deck list before when I was playing OP9, OP10. I tried Blackbeard. Like, you have to know a lot of things. You have to know like what cards are the most important against your opponents. Because the good thing about Teach is that you're stopping on-play effects, which a lot of the decks do nowadays. The person who actually played this deck doesn't tech for Emu because he can't really like beat Emu in a fist fight. So he would just cover everything else. Because you have a lot of searchers from Fulaled, This Is My Age, and Lafitte, you don't really need to play a lot of Teach. 3 is the maximum, as he suggested, because it's a blocker that activate main once per turn. If you play him during a turn, one of your opponent's leader's effects are negated, and then one of your opponent's characters are negated, and they cannot attack. The thing is, because you're KOing so much, you're already controlling your opponent's board, it doesn't matter because they will have nothing. Then you play Teach just to stop an attack. And you can, technically, if you play a Teach or a second Teach, you've already won. The most important thing is to make sure your Burgess survives or something that can bring Burgess back. And then KO everything else. Blocker, like pesky attackers or something like that. Just clear everything. That's what you do with Teach. And I found his playstyle interesting. He's just very hard to play. So, well, congrats to my friend here who's done Teach in 3rd place. And now we'll go to the 2nd place, which is Emu. This is Ramtin's this is the same list that Ramtin has played, I think, from when he topped like last week or 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly. Standard Emu list. As I've explained before, you play 4 copies of the 5 Elders, 4 Elders, 4 copies of Ground Death, at least 1 of the Marijois. Standard list. We don't really need to go through it. It's the same list as you would see if you were playing Nationals or something like that, or like European Finals or Regionals or something. This is the Emu list. This is the standard Emu list. And now, I would like to actually go through this Crocodile. Oh man, I had like a nice talk with Hokhori with this deck. This is Chef kiss what he's done with this deck. 5 life, 5,000 leader, 5,000 power leader. All of your opponent's characters cannot be removed from the field by your effects. So you can't really KO. However, there's a twist. Activate main once per turn. You may KO one of your characters with a type including Baroque Works. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -10 cost during this turn. Then you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. This leader is secretly powerful. And I'm going to explain why. What do you do in your early turns? You search. Search for any Baroque Works card, either through Disappointed or Miss Valentine Mikita. What are you looking for specifically? Hokhori. 4 cost 5,000 character. On KO, play up to 1 character card with a type including Baroque Works and a cost of 5 or less other than Hokhori from your hand or trash. You're trashing a lot of cards with Crocodile. You're trashing a lot of cards from Mikita, from Disappointed. If you find Bentham, you can play cards like Double Finger, where she's 5 cost 6,000 power. If you have 7 more cards in your trash, this character gains plus 1,000 power, and all of your characters for the type, including Baroque Works, gain plus 2 cost. Very annoying, especially with Jinbei. What you would also usually do, so there's a bunch of ways you can play around this, but Hokhori is like one of your engines for the deck. You can play either Double Finger or Daz Bones. 5 cost 6,000 power / 1k counter. If there's a character with a cost of 0 or a character with a cost of 8 or more, this character can attack characters on the turn in which it is played. And on play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters for the cost of 0. What does Crocodile do? -10 cost. I've never seen any other character that has been 11 cost. I don't think that ever exists. So activating Crocodile's effect, KOing Bentham, playing Daz Bones, resting an annoying character, attacking into that. The possibilities of this, like, this is a very convoluted combo deck, but once you understand it, the lines, you can see how powerful this deck is. You can play Bentham into Daz Bones. You can play Bentham into Zala. You can play Bentham into a blocker. Depends on the matchup. So this one, Mr. 4 cost 5,000 power, blocker. On KO, you can add up to 1 character card with a cost of 8 or less with a type including Baroque Works from your trash to your hand. The most you can have is 8 with Crocodile. I'll explain them later. You have Miss All Sunday as well. 7 costs 8,000 power. On play, if your leader's type includes Baroque Works, play up to 1 character card with a type including Baroque Works with a cost of 4 or less, and up to 1 character with a type including Baroque Works and a cost of 1 from your trash. Not rested. You play Miss All Sunday into Bentham and to, for example, Miss Wednesday. KO Bentham, put Daz Bones after reducing the cost of your opponent's characters by 10. You rest. You can even trash Miss Sunday to give an opponent's character with the cost of 0 -3,000 power. You attack into that. Enough. There's nothing else has to be said. 2k counters, I believe there are 12 if I counted correctly, or was it just 8? No, there are 12. So Miss Wednesday is one of them. Miss Golden Week is another one, where on KO, draw 2 trash 2 cards from your hand. This is very good if you haven't found Bentham yet, and you don't have a searcher. She's a 3rd searcher. We can count that. Miss Merry Christmas. On KO, if your leader has the Baroque Works type, draw a card, then KO up to one of your opponent's stages for the cost of 1 or less. I don't need to tell you how many stages there are that cost 1. The ones that are most prevalent are Coffin Boat from Miyok. There's also the Marijoise or Hachinosu. Upper Yard if you're playing Upper Yard if you're playing Calgara, or Arc Maxim if you're playing NL. But the most prevalent ones definitely are Coffin Boat and Mary Joas, but I don't think that comes up a lot. If you're playing Green Purple Luffy, it's actually going Mary. But very powerful card. Doesn't come up a lot, but it's still a 2k counter in case you need it. And we're gonna go finally, if I can actually load this. Crocodile. 8 cost 10,000 power. On play, up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 9 or less cannot attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then, if your opponent has a character with a cost of 0 or a character with a cost of 8 or more, draw a card. On KO, you may trash a card from your hand, play this character card from your trash. The boss monster here, it can be a bit tricky to play, but the important thing is that you can play him super late just to stop like big attacks. But you play Crocodile, you can freeze an attack. You can trash something else with Crocodile, or you can trash Crocodile himself to reduce 10 cost, and then bring him back by trashing a card from your hand, and then you're stopping another character from attacking and you draw a card. If you're coming up against Whitebeards, for example, from Ace, you can play something like Haute Couture Patchwork. It's a 1 cost. Main, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 during the turn. Then up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0 isn't set as active during the next refresh phase. So you can, for example, attack with Crocodile, play Haute Couture Patchwork, you KO, -10 cost. On 1, you play Crocodile, and then whatever you hit with Patchwork, you freeze that, and then you play another Crocodile to freeze the other one. There's a lot of combos in here. I don't know if I'll be able to play it, considering that EB03 is holding like a female leader only, I would say, event for the next month or so. But other than that, like, if you have the chance to play Crocodile, you should try it. I don't know if this is going to still, I mean, I hope it's still prevalent in OP15 with the new leaders and stuff, but we have a month of just playing females. But so far, this Crocodile has been kicking ass. And I believe, if I remember correctly, he's been in the top 8, I think, for quite some time. And this was his first win. So congratulations to Hokhori for topping locals today with this event. So yeah, that's actually it for today. This is the first time I've covered 2 locals, but congratulations to our top 8 for both events. That, especially like today, like at Teach, like despite the amount of like green and yellow and blue decks today, black just came out on top, which is something that you don't see a lot. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And so I think starting from next week, you'll just see like female. We'll be doing a special coverage where we're just gonna do female leaders, I think, for the next month or so for the Heroines event. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and stay frosty.